Live. Yay, we got a connection. Hey guys, happy Wednesday, July 11th. I'm honored, really, to have my guest on today, Chief John Mina with the Orlando Police Department. So, Chief of Police. Yes, believe it or not, I'm in the same room as the Chief of Police. Thankfully, he didn't check my record out. I don't have one, that's okay. So let us know you can hear us or see us. This is a unique little thing. All right, so Rebecca's on. Give us a thumbs up. Maybe Joe. And I have to give a shout out. John Busdecker is here. He's got his amazing program, Orlando 60, I think, right? So he's here to make sure I behave, which is awesome, because my handler happens to be here today too, so he just wouldn't care like John does. So welcome, thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. Bill Moore actually said you should have Chief Mina on, and ever since the Mayor's Academy, and before that, I went through the Mayor's Academy, and you were so gracious and wonderful at the event. I'm like, at that particular session, I was like, I gotta have him on. He's awesome. So Tom Redmond says, hey Chief, you got a lot of people on there. Love Lake Eola, so you got lots of love. So it's already coming on. All right. So I'm not gonna. I want to start with you. So let's talk about you. Let's talk about your beginnings. I posted your wonderful bio today. But people don't read, so we want to give them a little bit of a history on you.
Yeah, let's go back to my dad. My dad is actually born in Palestine, immigrated here from the Middle East. Met my mom in New York, and obviously I look a lot more like her. And so born in New York, raised in New Jersey. I went to a Catholic elementary school, public high school.
What part of Jersey were you from?
Stanhope, Sussex County.
Sure.
Not too far away from the Delaware Water Gap.
I was born in Bergen County, New Jersey.
So there's only one traffic light in the town I grew up in.
When did you know that, or when did you decide that you wanted to become in law enforcement? Was that something, a part of your family, you grew up with it?
It wasn't a part of my family, but I had two very distinct interactions with law enforcement when I was growing up. So the first one, my mom and my brothers, we were involved in a traffic crash. We weren't hurt bad, but it was the most traumatic thing that we had ever been involved in.
Sure.
And I'll never forget the officer showing up there, and he was professional, his uniform was sharp, he just treated us with compassion, and he knew that this had been the most traumatic thing that we had ever been involved in, and he really took the time to show that compassion, to drive us home, to walk us through that incident. And I always had a great impression of him and the way he treated us. So fast forward, I'm a young teenager, and I'm cutting through some backyards, going to the store, and I'm stopped by the police. And that officer was disheveled. He wasn't clean shaven. Didn't have a professional appearance, but most importantly, he didn't treat me with dignity and respect. And I never ever forgot that interaction. And I always wanted to be a police officer growing up. So I said to myself, I'm going to be like that first officer and not like that second officer. So those two interactions really got me to
How old were you at the first interaction?
I was only like 7 or 8 years old.
Isn't it amazing? So at 7 or 8, there was enough of an impression made by someone. That's why I'm telling you, people, kids pay attention. So you really have to watch what you're saying around them. They're watching you. So that one individual during that time made such an impression on you that it pretty much determined or changed the trajectory of your life, which is awesome. Good. But isn't it funny that you have that positive one and then you have a negative one, and then that also, people underestimate how powerful that can be, because you decided at that moment, I don't want to be that person. I want to be in law enforcement, but not like that.
Yeah, and I tell the same thing to my officers all the time. I remember being at a community meeting as the chief and talking to the community members, and of course telling them all the great things we had done at the Orlando Police Department, how we're reaching out to our community, how we're driving down crime and interacting with our youth. And he says, "Oh, Chief, I got a problem." He goes, "I remember my house was broken into. I had fingerprints, I had video. My property was stolen, and I never even got a phone call back from the police department." So, obviously I was very embarrassed, and it's unacceptable. Unacceptable customer service. We need to catch this guy. More importantly, we need to interact with the resident. So after the meeting, I walk up to this resident and I said, "Hey, can I get your address, the case number for the report? Let's do some follow-up. I'll get a detective on it right now." He goes, "Oh, that was 15 years ago."
Oh,
so
wow.
And so what I tell my officers is that man, that was his only interaction with the Orlando Police Department. Will probably ever be his only interaction, and that's the one thing that he remembers about that.
And so, it's strong enough in him, and it would made such an impression again. And so, if that's your only point of reference, then he's carried that around. It's obviously
Right.
been on his mind. But how awesome that you interacted with him. That's what Danielle just said. She said, I'm in Seminole County, but love how you handle the situations you come across daily.
Oh,
So you see,
thank
you got
you.
people watching you.
Appreciate that.
And Amanda McKinley says hello from the McKinley family.
Hello, McKinley.
See, I can barely read that, Chief Mina, so I'm kind of looking at it going, okay, I don't want to miss like family or if somebody's really close to you who gets on. But so you became a police, you went through the academy, but you also served our country.
Yeah, so right out of high school, I joined the United States Army. So I have been serving my country or my community since I was 18 years old. And I was stationed in Fort Bragg, North Carolina. I was a military police officer. I used to jump out of airplanes.
Wow.
If you believe that. I don't know if I do that today.
Yeah, would you do that today?
I was 18 years old. I don't know if
Fearless.
I would do it today. But I had a great time and learned about leadership, discipline, and teamwork, and those things get embedded into you right away into when you're in the military. And so while I was up there in Fort Bragg, the Orlando Police Department actually came up there to recruit soldiers, something we still do today, and so does the Orange County Sheriff's Office. And I was 21 at the time or 22, and I was like, yeah, I'll come down to sunny Orlando, Florida and be a police
Right?
officer. Yeah.
So you served our country and then you got out and you went to academy. That's really how it went.
Yes.
And how did your parents feel? Were they supportive of it? Was it a difficult thing because you didn't grow? A lot of times when I'm interviewing somebody who's in law enforcement, they come from a family of that, and so it's kind of an easy thing, an easy transition.
They were very supportive of it, and I think being in the military, having that time away from home, and you're traveling the world, they understood that, and I think they were very supportive and also very proud that I wanted to serve a community as a police officer.
So a lot of times you go through the ranks, but not everybody continues to move up. And you got appointed by Mayor Dyer in 2014, if I'm not mistaken, to be the chief of police for Orlando, city of Orlando. So how do you make that transition? Was that something you always wanted to do? Did you always want to be the premier leader of a police department, or because I mean, there's lots of people who are ranked as sergeants, lieutenants that just stay at that level. But obviously, there was something in you that you wanted to do more.
Well, I'd always just wanted to be a police officer and arrest bad guys and help people out, like that officer who helped my family out when we were in the accident. And I don't think there's many people who join the police department and say, hey, right when they're a police officer, hey, I want to be chief of police.
Right.
It really, at that level in your career, it seems so far away. But
Sure.
all throughout my career, I had mentors and peers and superiors kind of pushing me along, saying, hey, John, you have something. You have that leadership ability. The officers, they follow you. You need to do this. You need to take the sergeant's test. You need to further your career and get into criminal investigations and other parts of the department so you have more experience. And so it was really those mentors in my life and my police career that helped me and pushed me to get to where I'm at today.
And if you look at your resume, mentoring obviously meant a lot to you, but you also are a big proponent of giving back and mentoring. Talk about some of the things that you're doing or that you are involved in or have created at the police department or outside the department.
Well, in leadership, you're not being a very good leader if you're not getting the next leader ready for your spot. And we have a very good tradition of the Orlando Police Department about doing that, by getting the next leaders ready. And that's something I learned from the military, my time in the Army, that leadership starts day one, pretty much the next person up, and it starts from the very beginning. So we've done so many great things at the Orlando Police Department. We're always on the cutting edge, whether it be crime fighting or engaging with our community or even technology, and very, very proud of that. I think one of the things that we do more now than ever is really engaging with our community. And we realize, I mean, you've seen all the national incidents throughout our country, Ferguson and New York and Charlottesville, and all those places. It's important for our community to trust the police. And in some of our more challenging areas, the trust is not where it should be. So we want our citizens to see our officers in a different light. And many times when we show up in some of those challenging neighborhoods, it's because someone was murdered, it's because someone's going to jail, it's because someone's getting a ticket. So we want those communities to see us differently. So constantly preaching to our officers that get out of your police car, roll down your window, have a conversation with, especially of our youth. It's so important to get to our youth at such a young age, and we have many formal mentoring programs that we do, but sometimes those informal interactions with our youth will last a lifetime.
I think they're powerful, sure. And I think that kids, when I grew up, it was cops and robbers, bad and good. It seemed to be a little more clearly defined what the roles were between good and bad. But I think because of TV, especially in movies, cops sometimes police officers become vilified. And so to have that interaction, instead of me going, oh my God, police officer, that's so cool, kids growing up I feel like didn't overall have that as much. There's this funny fear because not of anything that the police department's done, but because of the way it's portrayed a lot of times.
Right, and I'll give you 2 quick examples of those informal interactions. So not too far from here in Rosemont, a woman calls 911. She says, I need the police right away. 4 police officers rush their license sirens. They get to her door, knock on the door, and she answers the door, and they say, man, what's wrong? How can we help? And she said, my toilet has overflown. And that's why she called 911. So years ago, we would have called a neighbor or something, but that's not what happened. 2 officers stayed there. They mopped up her floor. They turned off her water. 2 other officers went to Walmart, bought the parts for inside the toilet, came back,
wow,
and put her toilet back together. And then the other incident happened right here in Paramore, not too far from here. Elderly man in the heat of summer, like today, is trying to mow his grass, and he's in his 80s, and he's trying to push this lawnmower. That probably used to be a push lawnmower, a long time ago, and self-propelled, and now you have to push it. And he was struggling. 2 officers in full police uniform would get out of their patrol car and take 10 minutes and mow this man's grass.
That's amazing.
And so what I tell our officers is they will, those residents are friends of law enforcement forever.
That
They'll never forget it.
They'll never forget.
Never
When we did the Mayor's Academy, and one of my favorite nights of it was when we went to the new facility on Orange Blossom Trail.
Right.
And I loved the inside of that, but I loved the presentation. I loved seeing the horses and the canine and the motorcycle. And I feel like all of those people had a real love and passion for what they're doing. Absolutely. And there's no way that you can fake that. And so Absolutely. It was so refreshing, because thankfully I haven't had any run-ins with the police. So it was so refreshing to watch them, to see how much they wanted to share what they do on a daily basis with us people in the Mayor's Academy, which we came from all walks of life.
Yeah, and the officers are very proud of what they do, and that's why it's important for citizens to get involved and go to the Citizens Police Academy. Both OPD and Orange County do one, and go to the Mayor's Academy. It's really your police department.
Right.
We're just the servants for this community, and to see all the amazing work that goes on. And, we have officers that can sing. We have officers that can build computers.
Can you sing, Chief Mina?
I cannot sing. They can build computers.
Right on the spot.
We have officers that can build houses, have built their own houses, but yet they chose to serve in this community and keep us safe.
I love that. And I love the fact that there's a room there that's a community room, correct?
Absolutely.
I don't think a lot of people know about that. Will you give them just a quick little, because that's such a beautiful thing that we
have. It's a huge community room, can hold 200 to 300 people easily, I think even more. And that's open to the community to have meetings and to talk about community-related issues. And they just have to contact the police department, and if it's available, we can set it up so that our community can use it. And that's why it was put right there in that Paramore community, so people can use it.
It's beautiful inside. I mean, it really is. So
we're very proud.
You should go OrlandoPoliceDepartment.com or OPD. There's a way to book it, so you just have to reach out to them. And book. It's absolutely beautiful. It's got the technology in that room is amazing, so you definitely need to check that out. All right, so you have this cush job as Chief of Police for Orlando Police Department. I didn't get any kind of reaction from John on that. And then what made you decide, because you are running for Orange County Sheriff.
Yes.
What was the catalyst for you? What made you decide, you know what, I want to be Sheriff of Orange County?
Well, Orange County has been my home for 28 years. Been a resident the entire time. This is the community that I chose to raise my family, and I care deeply about the safety of this community. I really feel I'm the most qualified person for this job, and I've known Sheriff Demings for 27 years. He was actually one of my first lieutenants when we were at the Orlando Police Department together, and him leaving early kind of opened up this opportunity for me. And I just want to continue to serve this community. I want to bring a lot of the great things that we've done here in the city of Orlando to all the residents and visitors in Orange County.
What are some of the things that you think You know, because the new, I'm not knocking the news, but I try not to watch too much of it because it's so negative. And it's so, one of the reasons I love doing the shows is we get to talk about the positive all the time. We get to talk about the, you know, the good stuff. So there's so much good stuff going on in our city and our county. What are some of the things that you'd like to implement that you want to take from being Orlando Police Chief to being Orange County Sheriff?
Well, the good news here in the city of Orlando, the Orlando Police Department, what we've been able to do is crime has been reduced, officer-involved shootings have decreased, police use of force has decreased, citizens complaining on the police officers has decreased, but what is up is community engagement. So that's what we want to do. You know, the priorities are going to be always the reduction of crime, specifically violent crime, getting these guns and drugs off the street, and really attack this heroin opioid problem that we're having, really crisis.
Talk about that a little bit, because I keep hearing about it. I've had several guests on that have spoken about it, but Orlando, is that actually true here in Orlando that we have, or Orange County, that we have a crisis here?
There is a crisis, and really it's a nationwide crisis. I mean, 174 people a day in this country are dying from overdoses. So if that's not a crisis, I don't know what is. You know, this community, Orange County and Orlando, recognized that several years ago, and that's why we created the Orange County Heroin Task Force. And there have been some great strides that have come out of that task force. All of our officers in Central Florida now are equipped with Narcan, and we've prevented many overdoses in Central Florida because of that. And we're doing better as far as holding the drug dealers accountable, specifically the ones that are putting fentanyl in these drugs, and it's really killing people.
Talk about Narcan, because we did talk about that on one show, but I don't think people realize how that can actually bring somebody back. Talk a little bit about that.
It's very easy to use, and that's the success about it. When I first heard about it, they were using it up in Northeast because they're having a huge issue with heroin up there, and they said, you know, the police officers have it, and I always thought, well, you know, our firefighters and paramedics, they already have that. They're going to be the ones who go to those medical calls first. That's true, but what they explained to me is that the people up there in the Northeast, they know that the officers are carrying this Narcan, and they were waving officers down saying, hey, the officers got this Narcan, someone, my friend, is overdosing, and they were seeing great results. So we were sold on it immediately. It's a small, tiny nasal spray the officers carry right in their pocket, and if someone is suffering the symptoms of an overdose, passed out, they can give that to them, and even if it turns out it was not an overdose, there's going to be no harm to the patient. So that's the important part about it. You can actually save someone's life, and then you're not causing any harm just in case you gave it mistakenly.
Is it only for heroin overdoses, or?
It's for all opioids. Yeah.
So all opioids, yeah. Wow. And that seems to, so opioids include like pills as well, correct?
Yeah, Oxycontin.
So, Oxycontin.
Yeah, heroin.
Why
fentanyl.
do you think, so is that cyclical just from your perspective? Is there going to be a new giant new drug that comes out that's going to be bigger and better, and we're going to have to deal with that? Or do you see us, you know, this is kind of going to be it because that's always developed?
No, it is very cyclical. You know, if you remember years ago, we were having problems with all the pill mills.
Yep.
You know, people are getting, they're going to surgery, or they're getting hooked on Oxycontin, oxycodone, and then when they get off that, and they were trying to get it through these pill mills. Well, when the state kind of shut down that and really started enforcing that, people started to get heroin, which is a lot cheaper. You can get it on the street. I think law enforcement is doing a great job of interdicting a lot of the heroin supply and a lot of the dealers. And now, I was just in a meeting this morning, we're seeing cocaine in the area on the rise in this area.
Really?
Yeah, and a lot of it's coming from Puerto Rico.
So cocaine, because of the availability, it's on the rise, or is it as cheap? I've obviously never bought drugs, so yeah. I don't know. But is heroin? It's that inexpensive? Is it?
Well, heroin is less expensive for the user than Oxycontin or oxycodone, and easier
access, right?
Access,
but you're not having to go through the doctor.
The prescription.
So what do you? What are the residents of Orange County? What can they expect? I mean, you obviously have a lot of planning. I don't want to put you on the spot on anything because I promised John I wouldn't. But I want to.
I'm used to it.
But I think that it would be good for people to hear. Okay, so what do I want to plan? What am I doing? What's my vision for the next year or 5 years? And you can pick anything in between if you want, but give them some kind of nugget of what you want to try to accomplish?
Well, again, I'm going to build on a lot of the great things that Sheriff Dennings has done at the agency. He's really transformed the Orange County Sheriff's Office to an incredibly professional police agency. They're well respected throughout the state. I'm going to build on that. I'm going to bring a lot of the great things that we have done here in the city of Orlando to all of Orange County. School safety is extremely important to me, and I want to bring a lot of our community engagement efforts to all of Orange County. In the city of Orlando, we have a phenomenal neighborhood watch program, and we have just seen residential burglaries and vehicle burglaries decrease significantly because the neighborhoods are getting involved. And,
yes.
And if you think about your own neighborhood, you know who lives across the street, and you know who lives next to you, and you know who lives on the other side of you. The police can't possibly know that.
Correct.
So when you see that strange looking truck in your neighbor's driveway, you got to call the police. And so those are some of the great things that we're going to bring to all of Orange County. And you know, that when I first became chief of police in Orlando, the 38th chief of police, the mayor told me, he goes, "We're having way too many residential burglaries. I want you to reduce residential burglaries." And we have over the past 4 years by 53%.
Wow.
So something we're very proud of.
Is that because of extra patrols?
So all the different programs that we have, the Operation Lock It Up, our Neighborhood Watch, National Night Out, just getting the community involved, because there can't be a police officer or a deputy on every single street corner in front of every single street, in front of every single house. It can't happen. So we really rely on we're going to rely on the 1.2 million residents of Orange County to be our eyes and our ears for preventing crime in our community.
And at the presentation for the Mayor's Academy, you talked about National Night Out, and somebody also talked about a Nextdoor app. So it's fascinating the amount of tools, I think, that we don't realize are at our fingertips. And National Night Out is a night where the neighborhood gets all together.
The National Night Out is basically to talk about starting up neighborhood watches. So all these, we have 1,000 neighborhood watch block captains throughout the city of Orlando, and I would really like to expand that when I become sheriff. And it really gets people excited about neighborhood watch, and they throw these parties, block parties, and they have these great themes. Some people do superhero themes, some people do Western themes, and it's great. It just gets the neighborhood and the neighbors on that block excited about preventing crime, and and the police officers and deputies, they get to interact, meet the neighborhood watch programs. It's really a great.
Which is good because you get to interact with them on a positive note.
Absolutely, yes.
Instead of when it's too late. So we're going to share all of Chief Mina's contact information. I couldn't tag him on the Facebook post for some reason, but I will when I reshare the video. Definitely reach out to him if you have questions. I mean, you're running, when is the election?
So my election will be November 6th.
Okay, so November 6th. So I know you've got a lot of ground to cover and a lot of work to do, but you continue to have your job and you continue to work at your job. So any parting words of wisdom for them, anything you want to share with them before we head out?
Well, I would say follow us on Facebook. This is John Mina for Orange County Sheriff. You can go to our website, minaforsheriff.net. And just to this community, I have been doing this job for 4.5 years. You've seen me in the spotlight, dealing with crisis in this community. You're going to know what to expect when I'm your next sheriff. So thanks for all the support. We have great community support, a ton of endorsements, and really excited about the election.
That's awesome. And I think we've got a great city and county. We really
Absolutely.
do. I talk about it a lot with everybody, and I feel like it's not just the people that are super active in that particular circle. It's everybody has a mostly really positive feeling about the city as a whole, and what Mayor Dyer has done with all of you and what you guys have done, and Orange County as well.
And really, the community should be proud of all law enforcement in Central Florida. We really do it right in this area. I've had the opportunity to go around the country, and we have it pretty good here for law enforcement.
Absolutely. All right, well, thank you so much. See, it was painless, right?
It was
I didn't get any finger shaking from John in the background there. But what a joy. I appreciate you coming on and sharing your story.
Absolutely.
I really
My
do.
pleasure.
Thank you. So reach out to Chief Mina, and we're going to share all of his contact information after. We love you guys. See you
Bye.
later.